Okay, take three. Hey, y'all, Jim here. So this is my oral presentation, week four. What are ethics? Ethics deal with moral principles. It's what society accepts as acceptable behavior, such as like obeying, traffic laws or laws in general. But even on a small individual scale, ethics gives us the concepts of right and wrong. Divisions of ethics is we have metaphysics, like the exploration of the nature of reality itself. You know, why are things? Why are there things? That would be a metaphysical, at least my understanding of metaphysical quandary. Then we have epistemology, or the study of knowledge, uh, which I think should be kind of attached to everything, not just ethics and philosophy, but everything. We should always kind of want to know a little bit more. Logic, the study of reason and argument, and we'll get back to that. Then we have axiology or value theory, and this is the issues of right and wrong and what is valuable in terms of human behavior. So next we have moral theory. What is moral theory? Um, this is what makes people or things good or bad, what makes behaviors right or wrong. It provides a general standard of morality. It's different from moral code, which is a more individual or more personal uh, thing. Um, Moral theory is a bit on the more broad side of things. I mean, so far, what I found interesting, if we go back a week where we were talking about arguments and the breakdown and evaluating of arguments, what I found, um, one of the things that was tripping me up and what I found to be most interesting was wrapping my head around the concept that truth does not equal logic, reason does not equal logic, and rationality does not equal logic. In my head, for something to be logical, it had to be true, it had to be reasonable, and it had to be rational. And that is not the case. It makes sense because many of us, myself included, have um, in our minds, in our probably our moral codes, things that to us seem extraordinarily logical, um, but there's no reason or rationality behind it. There may be a truth, but it's an augmented truth. It's a biased truth. It's a truth that we've determined for ourselves. It's not a universal truth. Once I was able to kind of wrap my head around that, um, I really appreciated it more, and it really helped me understanding the whole evaluation of argument process. Um, on a more current level, while we were talking about moral subjectivity and such like that this week, it got me thinking of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. Um, I remember reading that way younger than I probably should have. And it's unfortunate that, once you read something, you can't unread it. I'm not a fan, um, but I did read it. And in fact, I also read Fountainhead. Um, Anyhow, I remember her saying somewhere in Atlas Shrugged, either the foreword or the afterwards, somewhere in there, she was kind of breaking down her moral theory, her principles of ethics, and it had something to do with the concept of man as a heroic being, um, with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life, with productive achievement as his noblest activity, and reason as his only absolute. And I mean, it's not in the text itself, in those particular words throughout the stories, but the concepts, the ideals, they are definitely there. Um, she suggests through her work and through her speeches and stuff that people not confuse altruism with kindness, and really spent a good portion of her life kind of arguing against being nice. Um, and it just, as I was reading the stuff on rational egoism and rational selfishness, it really brought to mind Ayn Rand again, unfortunately. But I thought it was a good time to kind of bring her back up, uh, for nothing other than this presentation. So I'm majoring in drug and alcohol counseling. Um, that's what I hope to do. I hope to be a counselor. I hope to uh, maybe even one day become a treatment facility director. Uh, and I could be wrong on this, but when thinking about how ethics will play a role in my life, uh, or as my life in my career, um, I think it gives me a better view of my colleagues' individual ethical standards, their moral codes, not their theory, but their moral codes. And in doing so, it'll give me a better psychological perspective into who they are. And then, so you wonder then, is it ethical to evaluate your other coworkers' ethical views? Then I may be able to then manipulate that. So are these things ethical? And my stance is that I'm trying to save lives. I'm going into the field to help people and to save their life. And so I keep thinking of Mr. Spock from the seminal film Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And in it, he says, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. My goal in being able to evaluate their ethical standards is not to hurt them. It's not necessarily to manipulate them, but the ultimate goal is to help my clients. So if I have to get in the heads of my coworkers some, evaluate their logic, not their reason or their truth, but their perspective, I think that goes a long way in creating a snowball effect where I understand them and I'm able to address their needs. And by addressing their needs, I'm actually helping the facilities community at large and helping my clients' needs. And, you know, I again, I could be wrong, and we're only 4 weeks in. So, but yeah, I think that I will be able to use that. I mean, obviously, and when you're working in a field like this or medicine, ethical standards come up in other ways too. Uh, I'm not going to get into some of the more lurid stuff where of ethics within treatment facilities, because in lockup facilities like that, because they're there. I'm not worried about that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of how I'm going to use it now, how I'm going to avoid pitfalls that I'm not even concerned I'm going to fall in. You know what I mean? So, okay, I think I'm at the point where I'm just rambling, so I'm going to stop. Uh, Feel free to hit me up if you guys have anything you want to talk about based on what I'm saying. If you have any questions, concerns, you know, totally get it. So yeah, feel free. Hope to hear from you. Take care. If I can stop recording, let's see. Oh,